Yeah, we're good. Well, good evening. I hope everybody can roughly understand English. If I go too fast or if you don't understand me, please make yourself known, whatever kind of thing that you do, either move, shout, whatever, but try to get my attention and I'll try to explain it either more slowly or in different kind of wording. That's a, Sia? I hope I pronounced it right. That's the only Hungarian word in here, so don't. So my name is Henk, Henk Hoff. I was member of the OpenStreetMap Foundation Board until December, last December. So last December we had, as a foundation, an annual general meeting where new board elections were taken. My seat was up for election and I just decided to stop with it. So I've given up my seat for somebody else. So, but still I have been in the OpenStreetMap board from 2008 onwards. So I think I know a little bit about the OpenStreetMap Foundation. Anyways, well, you probably know that you're kind of a group that basically knows everything about OpenStreetMap, but I think it's good to just put a little bit of history in it. OpenStreetMap started 2005-06 as a because well, geodata or data in general was closed. A closed source, you could only get it if you pay a huge amount of money, that kind of stuff. So the idea was to well, get on the streets and try to get the data for data free, but yeah, well, if you just protest, it doesn't really work. So you basically need to do it yourself. Hence the idea, OpenStreetMap, if we all jot in the data. So we had a good example at that time from Wikipedia. So if we crowdsource that kind of thing, you might just be able to create your own map. So August 2004, so 9th of August, that's kind of what we now see the birth date of OpenStreetMap, because it was a little bit difficult to say when did OpenStreetMap start. We basically now decided, well, when the OpenStreetMap.org domain was registered, that we kind of consider the birth date of OpenStreetMap. Because at some point, we don't really know, and probably Steve doesn't really know, when he woke up with the idea, yay, OpenStreetMap, that's the thing to do. So hence, August 2004, birthday of OpenStreetMap. So basically we're 11, almost getting 12 years old. A little quick history. So a year later, roughly a year later, we had 1,000 users. Not that many, but still interesting. 2007, an interesting kind of thing happened. A&D, that's one of the, so of the, back then, 3 larger map data providers. You had TeleAtlas, now TomTom. You had Navtec, now here. And you had A&D, who's still an independent map provider. But A&D, the smaller of the group of 3, needed to probably, well, was also kind of looking for different way how to source data. They were not that big as TomTom and here to just be able to drive around with cars everywhere and collect the data. So they had to be a little bit more creative. The idea was then also, look, maybe crowdsourcing is a thing. Just remember 2007, so it's just basically 3 years into OpenStreetMap, and OpenStreetMap was still considered as, it's never going to work, you can't do that, how can you possibly create a map, you need to have real professionals to make a good map. So that attitude at that time, but A&D just decided, hey, let's have that experiment. How can we use this crowdsourcing thing in order to create hopefully a better map? So what they did, they donated their map of the Netherlands, although they, yes, they were a commercial company, so that was not really the most up-to-date map, of course, that they had, but just, hey, this is a couple of years old, lots of bugs in it. Let's see how quickly those bugs can get resolved. Next to the Netherlands, they also donated China and India. Well, China, it was just a bunch of rubbish, so we never imported that. And India, yeah, it was really, really, really bad. Sorry, if India's watching. And India, I think we've also imported the base structure it was in, but not the complete map. But the Netherlands was the main interesting kind of point then, most interesting data set. And the most interesting kind of thing was then, at least, so when we've imported it, and it was in September that we have finished that, OpenStreetMap had one country completely mapped, as in the road network. So not like paths and that kind of thing, what we currently have. But if you look at road network, that was the time that we had, as OpenStreetMap, one country completely covered. Basic, and it's a very kind of also in psychological big step forward, because at that point people started thinking, hey, it might just work. If these kind of guys do things like that, if they're interested, it might just work. Anyways, that was 2007. So 2009, 100,000 users registered. So you kind of see that growth popping up. 2010, an interesting kind of thing. We were able to use the Bing imagery. Before that, we were able to use, yay, Bing. Microsoft is cool at some point. They also do some stuff that not everybody's really keen on, but they also do good things, like donating data for us, or donating, like making it possible for us. Because that made, before that we were able to use Yahoo imagery, which was
You don't have the date, Yahoo.
Sorry? No, but that was, Bing was really kind of important because we got really quality, very, very good aerial imagery. But let's see, yeah. Anyway, I'm leaving all kinds of details out. Sorry for that. But it really worked in getting more detailed data, so you can actually really good do mapping from aerial imagery, or let's say armchair mapping. So basically the whole idea about the battle between the people who say you need to go out and map with your GPS device and survey, whatever kind of thing, and yeah, the other group like, oh no, I can also do it from my attic where you can just click from an aerial imagery. So I think basically the fight between those two groups kind of started with at this point where you actually had very good aerial imagery. Well, it's kind of interesting to just see, does it work? Yay! So we were kind of there. Well, I just stopped. Well, I could put all kinds of slides in how many people were there, but it's just kind of the idea where we are at. So we're getting close to 2.5 million. So this is recently, so this is somewhere in December. But it's still growing. More and more people join OpenStreetMap as an account. So these are the registered accounts if you want to edit stuff. It's not things that people using OpenStreetMap data. It's actually accounts created to be able to edit in OpenStreetMap. Interesting stuff. So now we have currently, I just picked it up. So let's say 1 a.m. this morning, we had 2,430,260 registered users, and on a daily basis, roughly 3,000 people edit the map. And that's global. It's not just Hungary. I wish it was, but it's global. But still, 3,000 active users on a daily basis. Not any company can actually compete with that. Just think about having, for instance, TomTom or here, or, well, I'll just forget Google because that's a completely different ballgame. But if you have a commercial company, nobody can pay 3,000 people to just map on a daily basis. It's just becoming, well, let's say they're out of business pretty soon. So that's the current situation. So OpenStreetMap, it's good to know, and it's always kind of a struggle to try to see that there's a difference between the community and the foundation. We have the OpenStreetMap Foundation and we have the OpenStreetMap community. And I think the most important thing is trying to get a little bit of understanding what the difference is a bit. So let's talk with the foundation. It's actually the legal entity to represent the project. So it's, well, let's say you have an organization who feels threatened because their whole business case is going down the drain because we give it for free and they want to sue anyone. Well, they can sue the foundation instead of you all. So it's just kind of a legal representation. This is kind of the negative point. It's also the good point. So if you need to make all kinds of arrangements or whatever you want to do, or you want to have as a company an official idea, is this okay? Can we do this? That the foundation can say, yes, you can, or no, sorry, you can't. But it's because the whole idea about a community is, if you have these kind of people, if I would ask a question, and I would ask a question to all of you, I probably would get all different kind of answers. Organizations who want to use data don't really like that. They like to have an official answer, and the OpenStreetMap Foundation is there to just be doing that. Well, it's so we don't have our data in the cloud, but we do actually have we own our own servers, but we need to buy them, we need to maintain them, they need to just keep running, and the foundation is responsible for that. So you sometimes have the kind of thing that you see a donation drive that we say, hey, we need to have another server or a server pack, whatever kind of thing, for want to upgrade our databases or want to whatever you want to say. It's basically done for the foundation, and we keep it running. We do own, as we, the foundation, owns the trademark. We do have trademarks. So not everybody can just use the OpenStreetMap logo. It's trademarked. So if you use, for instance, if you create an app on the Android App Store or the iPhone App Store or the Windows App Store, and you just use the OpenStreetMap logo as your logo of your app, you might just get a friendly email of the OpenStreetMap Foundation like, please pick another one. Because we don't want to get these kind of things done, especially because I know that all your applications you are building are top-ass, kick-ass, just the best thing possible, but there are other people sometimes not doing that. So it's the kind of thing doing that. We are the official publisher of the OpenStreetMap data set. One thing to make sure, the data itself is still owned officially by you as contributors. So it's kind of like we have a database, and you all put data in there. So the whole collective thing, like the data set, we publish it. And publishing doesn't mean that we own it, but the complete set is going to be published under a license. So there's also the legal kind of thing. So the open database license is then, and so we bring that. So what you've basically done by signing up for the OpenStreet, so if you signed up with an account with OpenStreetMap, you basically given the OpenStreetMap Foundation the right to publish your data as a collective under the open database license. So you're giving it away, so you're basically giving it not away that you say it's an open database license, but you give the data to us to be used as a collective under certain conditions. I hope I'm not confusing you guys, because it took me a while to really get the legal aspects of it. But it's actually, it's kind of simple until you start thinking about it, and it can become pretty complex. Anyways, the goal of the OpenStreetMap Foundation is more like we want to grow the use of OpenStreetMap or free geospatial data, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can read it. But it's the idea that we not just collect data. The OpenStreetMap Foundation will also want to be, there's a little bit more higher kind of thing. Like we want to promote open data. We want to promote the use of the data by anyone. Because we think if we give that data away, if we just say, hey, here you have some data, make interesting things out of it, you'll be getting amazed by the things that can be done with data. I've seen amazing things pop up of which I've never thought that could actually just happen or done, but just having people thinking about it creatively. Sorry, but English is also not my first language. So if you use it in a creative kind of way, you get all kinds of new, interesting, crazy stuff. And that's what we want to do. So we don't want to withhold you anything. So we don't want to hold back. We want to stimulate you, want to do. We challenge you basically to do crazy stuff. Really make us amazed, make us proud. So that's basically what we say. We support but not control. So we don't want to control you. This is what you can do and this is what you cannot do. We want to give you full power in everything that we want to do. However, this foundation thing like foundation and community. So at some point, so this has been also sometimes the idea that the foundation should not be doing anything because we only support, we don't control, and if you take a decision, you basically take control a little bit. And that's kind of a debate within the organization. Personally, but that's my opinion, the foundation needs to have some control over the organization. Not what you do or what you can do. So I don't think that the foundation in every way is ever going to decide what can be entered into the database. We leave that up to you. What the tagging scheme is, I don't care. Because we want to have this new kind of thing. If you come up with, I don't know, what you want to map, or if that is interesting, map it, kick it off, start it. You never know if it will turn into something beautiful. That's all what we want to do. But we do like, as a foundation, be able to prevent us from, let's say, attacks. So at some point, somebody needs to take an executive decision to have people who vandalize and act against them. That is kind of taking control. You can leave it up to the community, but then you're getting into kind of politics like United Nations kind of thing, that and they can't really make any decision because there's always somebody doing a veto. No, I can't do that because no. So you need to have an organization who tries to do these kind of things to keep the community healthy and keep the community engaged and be able to do the kind of things that they want to do. So there is this balance of control and support. But so the general idea, support but not control. But at some point, the foundation needs to step in to be able to not have the organization completely, go berserk. Okay, but still, so that's kind of the organizational. There's also a link to the organizational principle. OSM, I kind of guess that you kind of know where that stands for. Like OpenStreetMap, GMM is Google Map Maker. You might have heard of it, Google, small company, also doing something with maps. And they also have this tool where you can also edit or improve the map. The main difference between the two is that we as OpenStreetMap are a lot more bottom-up, like the community can decide. We also want to have this kind of thing, make it happen, where Google Map Maker is basically top down. Google is basically saying, this is what we're interested in, this is what you need to map, and everything you map will be verified by somebody else before it's actually put on a map. We just still, if you edit something, it's on a map immediately. Because we really want you to give the feeling that you control things, that you have the buttons in the kind of thing, and it really stimulates, because if you edit something, it's there, you can say, yes, it works, and you want to continue. And with Google Map Maker is this kind of thing like, well, yeah, at some point somebody needs to look at it, and somebody's going to say, no, this is wrong, where you sometimes feel like, well, I think it's true because I've actually seen it. And somebody else not seeing it is then probably going to decide whether it's good or not. So we don't want to, so again, it's also an idea, support, but not control in a kind of different way. Working groups, an interesting kind of formula, because the foundation is doing something. And it's not only the board of the foundation. So the board is about 7 people elected, but they can't do all the stuff themselves. So we have different working groups. The first is the operations working group, who basically keep the servers running, do all kinds of stuff there, just basically keep these things running, trying to prevent us from getting DDoS attacks. I've actually never heard that we've actually gotten any, but you never know. Oh, by the way, this is not a suggestion to try it, by the way, not to do that. I might just get in trouble with somebody. Communication working group, we want to, well, explain what we're doing, explain to the whole wide world. The data working group, so if you have problems with data, like you think, or you are in an argument with a person who's vandalizing, or you come in a conflict, the data working group can step in. Or if you accidentally uploaded some data that is copyright protected, and we get people stepping in and say, hey, wait a minute, this is our data, it's our copyright, and you don't have the right to have it in your database, then we are able to take it out. And we don't, that's also one of the kind of things that we've done. It's a little bit to keep it practical and simple. If we have sound proof, that is very good proof that the data that you, for instance, have entered is tainted, like in it's potentially, it is very likely that is copyrighted somewhere else, and we've got a complaint in, we do have the right to take it out without consulting you. It's just, we probably will consult you and say, hey, we've deleted some data, but you don't need, so it's not that you need to be agree. So if you say, no, it needs to stay in, but if the foundation has enough proof that it is copyrighted, then it can still take it out, because it needs to prevent the organization. So we don't really want to. Well, it's just a kind of thing like, do we really want to have a court case? Yes, no. Is it really kind of thing? So it's not that we do it on a daily basis, but that's what the data working group is doing, all kinds of data stuff. License or legal working group, they have been in the past very active with the whole license change. You might have heard that the open database license is not our first license. We first published the dataset under Creative Commons, or Creative Commons by share alike, CC by SA, but it turned out not to be the really the license was not really compatible with databases. We got in all kinds of problems there. So we looked for another or another license. It turned out it then went the open database license. But also if organizations, companies come in and say, hey, we'd like to work with OpenStreetMap data, and I have a use case, hey, can we use OpenStreetMap data in this particular use case? How does it match? Because companies, well, they sometimes have other data sets that cannot be published, but they'd like to work together. So we're trying to figure out to clarify issues around license. So that's what the license working group, legal working group is dealing with. Local chapters working group. We want to get more and more local chapters. We currently have 2 official. Okay? Iceland and I think Italy. I'm not sure if Italy is already signed. But Iceland is an official local chapter. Italy, I've heard that Switzerland applied. And if OpenStreetMap Hungary would be interested, yes, do. And local chapters is more like that we then also can give to an organization, or the foundation gives the right to officially use the OpenStreetMap logo and may present the OpenStreetMap community and also the OpenStreetMap for foundation in their region or in their country. So that we just basically push off that kind of thing, hey, make us proud, make us happy, but you are the official representative of OpenStreetMap in that country. That's what we'd like to do the local chapters with. And basically what you guys are already doing is very interesting. Get people together, promote OpenStreetMap, that kind of thing. Engineering working group. It's a working group to try get more people active in building things with OpenStreetMap, to just kind of know a little bit more. So how do the APIs work? How can I easily set up a new mapping thing or a mapping server and that kind of stuff? All the kind of thing that the engineering working group helps you with, trying to promote the use of OpenStreetMap in all kinds of way, like in a technical kind of way. And last, you have the State of the Map working group. State of the Map, our annual conference. This year, I'll have a date later. This year it's going to be in Brussels, end of September. So I would say I hope to see you all there. Because it's really kind of a good place to just hear and see what's going on within OpenStreetMap globally. And it's really kind of interesting to see what companies are doing with, what other organizations are doing with, how other communities, local communities deal with community building, or how they do mapping parties and that kind of stuff. It's a really kind of interesting kind of thing to do. Budget, always interesting. If I've been presenting it to companies, they always think that I've missed 3 zeros, but it's not. This is our annual budget, and that's what we do the whole thing with. So run a service, that kind of thing, it's all done. It's all on there. I'm still pretty proud of that. At some point, I also kind of think like it's not really sustainable. We need to grow a little bit more to do this kind of thing, because it also limits us in doing things. We are still a volunteer organization, also on the foundation level, but at some point it's a little bit difficult because volunteers, well, the interesting kind of thing for volunteers is they don't get paid. So they sometimes go away because they find something else that they will get paid for. So that kind of gets a little bit of preference. So it's this kind of thing that we try to see how we can build the organization itself, not by limiting, not so much on the community level, but on the organizational level. Maybe just kind of think about all the sysadmins that run the service. Do we want to have somebody or a few of them paid, so we have proper people working on it, and not if something is going wrong that a person first needs to check with their employee, like, hey, wait a minute, there's an emergency somewhere else, can I take some time off? That's not really kind of good way, is it? It's not turned into major problems yet, but the way OpenStreetMap is growing, there's some point we need to think about if this is sustainable. But still, more than 10 years active, this being our annual budget, it's still kind of amazing. And I also see, although I'm putting some question marks by if it's sustainable, I also must say, if you look at the server infrastructure, if you look at how that's set up and how it performs, it's really amazing. I think we still have pretty amazing people running that kind of thing to kind of squeeze every last byte or whatever gigahertz out of the kind of thing to really make it a top performance. But okay, it's this kind of thing like in it goes well until it goes wrong, and at some point we're not really that organization anymore that we can say, hey, we're out of business for a week to try and recuperate from a major problem. So there is this little thing that we need to do. But anyways, still amazing, 100,000 British pounds, so €150,000 roughly. But it's always good to do it in sterling pounds because it looks less than it is actually is in euros. Income, so how do we get that 100,000 sterling pounds or British pound sterling, whatever it's called? Membership fee, you can become a member of the foundation, next to member of the community. Lots of donations like private donation, people just pitching in on a regular basis. And we also have donation drive, so specifically for a function, like we need a new server, this and this is the amount, this and this is what we can do with that, and would you please pitch in? And you have that kind of thermometer or that barometer, let's say, well, hey, we